Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is your one and only Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier, here with you trying to get my camera working right. And I'm talking to you today about some of the things that are going on. It's just a wild ride right now. And if you're wondering, I'm listening to the news reports as they go about the latest update that's going to be happening, or that has happened, in the 2020 presidential race. There is a ton of news out there. There is a lot that is happening right now. In fact, you may have noticed that I recently put out a press release, and I know you may see it. Let me switch over here, where I was talking about, well, you can't really see it that much better. I'll come back to it. But I just put it out about an hour ago, the news announcement that Kamala Harris is now out of the 2020 presidential race. That's right. She is no longer a candidate. She's done. She's gone. So much for Kamala Harris. And I know there's tears all over the place for this. I know there are people who are very sad right now saying, oh my God, Kamala Harris is out of the race. What are we going to do? How can you survive? At least I assume there's some Democrats out there who believe that. I would assume, based on the numbers out there, that somewhere around 3.4% of Democrats actually care about this, that they are being heartbroken right now. That's the general number according to Real Clear Politics. And when I put that out, I got a lot of responses. A lot of people have reached out to me when I put out the statement that not only do I see Kamala being out as no surprise whatsoever, but that a lot of people have thought, because I have a prediction. I made a prediction back in October of 2018, right after the last election cycle. And I said that it would be Elizabeth Warren and or Kamala Harris who would get the nomination for the presidency for the Democrats, and that the other one would get the vice presidential bid. And I've said throughout this year, 2019, that I think it's going to be Kamala Harris who's going to be the vice president, because I see Democrats looking at an all-woman ticket where they're going to go all women against the evil misogynist that is Trump, and of course by proxy all Republicans, and that they're looking to try and get rid of him based on gender and identity politics. That's the policy of the Democratic candidates so far. They've been on social justice, they've been on gender, identity, making people into categories, what I call microcategories, putting everybody into, you're no longer important as an individual, you're important as a group. So I would be the black, straight, older male. I'm not Michael Voss. I'm not the Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm not a human being. No, I'm just one of a group of millions of black, older men that are straight. That's it. That's what the Democrats look at you as. You may be a woman, whether you're a woman of color or whether you're white or whatever you may be, then you count. Unless you're a trans woman, then you're above that. And every one of these categories, whatever you may be, well, you have a rank. And that rank is for your group. So as a black, straight male, I'm in a category that's above white men, but below black women, probably above white women, but below transgender anybody. And that's my rank in that category. And again, who I am as an individual doesn't matter, because the only thing that matters is the category that I'm in. In other words, the voting block that I'm in. And because of that, that's how Democrats have been pitching towards everyone. And their candidates appeal to, and they have been since 2018, they have been appealing to that voting bloc. I mean, you may remember back a little while ago, there were a lot of people, oh, here it is. There were a lot of people who were in these groups. You had, and this is from Politico today, and I'm going to pick out just a couple of the important people here. So you had Kristen Gillibrand from New York State. She was appealing to white women, in particular older white women, rich, old white women. And she's out the race because that's not an important group to the Democratic Party. You had individuals like, just waiting for it to run through to somebody, Inslee, no one cared. Hickenlooper, no one cared. Swalwell, no one cared. Harris, we'll get to her. Bullock, who cares? Sestak, who cares? Wow, there's really no... Oh, O'Rourke, there you go. And Beto O'Rourke, he was pitching towards the fake Hispanics, or appealing to Hispanics, even though he was a fake Hispanic. Robert O'Rourke, otherwise known as Beto O'Rourke, the man whose best claim to fame was the fact that he lost to the person who lost to President Trump. That's right, Beto O'Rourke lost to Ted Cruz, who lost to President Trump. That was his claim to fame. He doubled down on that claim when he said, hey, you know what's another great thing about me? I will take your guns. I will destroy the Second Amendment. I will ruin the Constitution because of social justice and making you feel like you're safe. Feelings are very important to Democrats, especially in the 2020 race. And that's what he was going for. You're going to feel like I'm doing something, except what I am doing is taking away your rights. That's what he was after, to take your freedoms away. And he got kicked out the race. So everyone who's a Hispanic or a fake Hispanic, they lost their candidate. I mean, who really is left when you think about it? Well, according to the latest data, and we're looking at, this is from Real Clear Politics, their polling information, we know that right now, leading the race, as of this moment, is Joe Biden with 27% nationally. Then that's followed by Bernie Sanders with 16%. We have Elizabeth Warren with 14%. Then there's Pete Buttigieg, who has made a big surge recently to 11.4%, followed by Michael Bloomberg, who just got into the race at 4%, Kamala Harris at 3.4%, or was, Andrew Yang at 2.8%, Amy Klobuchar at 2.4%, and really everyone else doesn't count because they're at, 1 point whatever percent or less. This is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous race. And I'm going to get into this in a second because I think Kamala Harris, when she canceled her big money fundraiser, she set the world on fire. She knew that it was over for her. And the announcements coming out of her team said a lot. And that's why, if you were looking at, and I've looked at this all year long, you can look at some of my prior videos, at Predict It, we see that she's way down. Kamala Harris is below Oprah Winfrey as a candidate for the 2020 presidential election. Of course, she's out, so it doesn't really matter. But she's right there with Kirsten Gillibrand, who's also out of the race, Andrew Cuomo, who is hated even in New York State, Mark Zuckerberg, who is not a favorite of anyone, really. These are people who have no chance in hell. Hell will freeze over first before these people will get to be president, including Cory Booker. So this is according to Predict It. And people are putting their money where their mouth is. And they believe that Joe Biden will be the candidate. I don't believe so. I think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren. Although there is a growing feeling that Pete Buttigieg might be it. Because Pete Buttigieg is gay. That's it. Pete Buttigieg is gay, and so therefore he is a great front runner for the Democratic Party. But if you look at this list of people, one after the other, Beto O'Rourke, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, you know what you find in common with every single one of these people? That they all were at one point told to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. They are the greatest Democrat. They are leading everyone, that they are the wonderful, best next choice of Democrats to fight against the evil of President Trump. That's what the media has said. You heard that when Biden announced. You heard that when Pete Buttigieg announced. You heard that about Bernie Sanders. It's always the same thing. These are the next great people. They are going to make the difference. They're going to save America from the evil of being a Republican and or conservative. That's their goal. That's what they say. And I heard people say that even on Facebook. Because I had a gentleman, Robert Atwood, who mentioned that, he wants to talk about President Obama, even though he's misquoting the stats from President Obama. By the way, Robert, I suggest you go over to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and take a look at the data there. Yes, President Obama lowered during his term, the unemployment rate went from 9 to 4%. Let's also, and actually it went from 10.5 down. It was higher than you stated and dropped not quite as low as you state. But more importantly, it's also one of the longest recessions. Actually, it is the longest recession the United States has ever gone through because of his failed economic policies. But we're not talking about President Obama. He isn't president. He hasn't been president for 4 years. Let's talk about who is in the race. And I'm not even going to talk about President Trump. Let's talk about the Democratic candidates and what they are offering. And I hope you're following me here, folks. I'm trying to go through a lot of stuff. I know I've been away for the holiday, but I want to get into this. And I'm looking for your comments. And I am looking, you can, of course, leave your comments for us at the text line, which is 607-242-1582. Or you can reach us on Twitter at MVConsult. You can reach us, of course, on Facebook. Or you can go on to call us at 607-242-1582, and we'll put you on and listen to your comments. So we are paying attention. I do see the tweets that come through from time to time, and several of the people who've made comments, and I thank each and every one of you. I do try to reach you back one way or another as soon as I can. But let's look at Hong Kong for a second, okay? Because right now, I want to reiterate something I've said before. The Democratic candidates right now, they're all socialists, okay? Looking at multiple sites, including Yahoo Finance and, a dozen different sites, we see that the candidates are absolutely socialist. Absolutely socialist. If we're looking at where America is right here. We're somewhere between Chris Christie and, what's his name? John, out of Ohio. And I'm forgetting his last name. I can't read it. But the rest of the Democratic candidates, they're way over to the left. I mean, Bernie Sanders, of course, is the most communist. And then you have the socialists, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Kamala Harris, and then to lesser degrees, everyone else. But even Joe Biden, who's considered the moderate of the Democrats, is one, he's only considered a moderate because how far left every single other candidate is. Everyone else on that list is a straight up communist, progressive socialist. And just because Joe Biden isn't, and he's trying to become more of one, they think that they're doing great. They are so far off target, it's embarrassing. It's insane. But that's why Kamala Harris has had the problems she's had, because she's a former prosecutor. And she found out quickly that progressives don't like police. They don't like law enforcement. They don't like ICE. They don't like anyone enforcing laws that they don't feel good about. And Kamala Harris did, in fact, enforce laws they don't like. She enforced laws about drugs, about crime. Now, whether she was successful at that or not, could she have done better? That's an entirely different question. Who cares? That's not what we're talking about right now. She failed because she's not progressive enough for the Democrats out there. She's not far left enough. But the rest of the nation isn't anywhere near that. The rest of the nation doesn't believe that. Laws count for a reason. And so I want to go into something, because I'm talking about Hong Kong. Right now in Hong Kong, police forces are using tear gas on protesters. We saw that they had a successful, very, very successful election. 71% of the people showed up and they voted. And they voted universally, well, virtually, unanimously, in favor of democracy, American democracy. They're waving flags of the United States in China, in Hong Kong. They're chanting that they love President Trump. They love America. And yet, at the very same time, we have the Democratic Party trying to become China, which is really, really devastating. And this is part of the confusion here, because at the same time, we have the bill S-1838, the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act of 2019, which was voted on in November 20th of 2019. Now, I focused on that bill a little bit because it's amazing to me. Virtually everybody voted for this bill. Virtually everyone supports democracy in Hong Kong. Virtually every member of Congress believes that seeing Hong Kong become more democratic is a positive. You know what? It's so pervasive that even this guy, Anthony Brindisi of the New York 22nd District, a man who normally sits on the fence on everything, even he was willing to jump up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to vote for this because it's important. Because he knows the writing is on the wall and that this is something that Americans want. And he's a progressive. And yet he voted for this. You know what they didn't vote for? You know what we haven't heard about from any of these guys? You know, I'll point out Anthony Brindisi as a great example of that. What we haven't seen is Anthony Brindisi did not and has not spoken about one of the more interesting things, the riots in Binghamton, New York. When I was talking about Portland, is Binghamton, New York going to become the next Portland? When groups like Antifa and Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, otherwise known as PLOT, aggressively attacked in mobs the students at Binghamton University, Councilman Conrad Taylor, Assemblywoman Donald Pardo, County Executive Jason Garnar, and Representative Anthony Brindisi have been dead silent. Dead silent. Wouldn't speak about this. Meanwhile, again, Anthony Brindisi, he's voting for democracy in Hong Kong, but he's unwilling to defend democracy in his own congressional district. In the New York 22nd District, Anthony Brindisi won't talk about the atrocity of PLOT attacking students for having a different idea, the silencing of the First Amendment. He won't speak about that, but he will support people in Hong Kong, which makes no sense. But that goes back to, why doesn't it make sense about these Democratic candidates? Why do they make no sense whatsoever? Well, let's think about it for a second. It makes no sense because they support, and one of their best people right now is Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg, an individual who believes that higher taxes on poor people is a good thing, as reported by Real Clear Politics on May 24th of 2018. Just a little bit over a year ago. He obviously didn't think he was going to run for president at the time. But Michael Bloomberg is saying that he wants to, that by taxing people, especially the poor people, you're going to stop them from doing things that aren't in their best interest. Who is he to decide that? Who is Michael Bloomberg to tell you that you need to spend money the way he wants you to spend it, and if you don't, well, he wants to punish you? This is the man who wanted to get rid of straws. He got rid of salt. He wanted to get rid of sugar. He wants to control people's diets. He wants to control the way they live. He took away the ability to smoke cigarettes. This is a very repressive, regressive, authoritarian figure. That's Michael Bloomberg. And Michael Bloomberg is the latest, greatest thing in the Democratic Party. At this moment, he's running in 5th place. After an entire year. After an entire year of the Democratic candidates going out there trying to make their case, 20 of them, Michael Bloomberg pops in at the end, and now he's in 5th place. a man who is regressive, who wants to punish poor people, a man who wants to dictate how people eat and how they live. And this is the next greatest idea of the Democratic Party. The rest of the candidates are so weak that Michael Bloomberg, after a year of their campaigning, can walk in and get 5th place and bump out Kamala Harris. Andrew Yang doesn't even matter. Cory Booker, forget about him. Let's think about this, folks. What is this saying about the Democratic Party? What is it saying about the Democratic Party's candidates? Its insistence on social justice. Its insistence on social justice, but socialism. We are looking at a party that is self-destructing. They have one purpose: get rid of President Trump. And instead, they want to give America repression. They want to give America their rule. They want to be able to give people one choice and only one choice. And we have a list of people who've been trying that and didn't get any success because they're a bunch of socialists. And we can see the bets are out there. The moderate that the Democratic Party doesn't even like, Joe Biden, Creepy Joe, touchy-feely Joe Biden, is leading and has been leading since pretty much the day he said he's going to run. An old man, an old, rich, white man, something that the socialists in the party, the progressives in the party, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they can't stand Joe Biden. They hate him and what he represents. A man who's been in politics for over 3 decades and believes that all the problems that are happening today is because of someone else, in particular President Trump, who just got in comparing times, President Trump just showed up at the door. Joe Biden's been living in the house. He's the problem. And yet Democrats are saying, no, you misunderstand. This is the solution. This is the answer. These are the people to give us the answer. And the answer is become China. Become more Chinese. Become more socialist. And the Hong Kong people are saying, no, that's not the answer. It really boggles my mind. It really shocks me to death that someone saying they want to be a regressive authoritarian is considered the best choice, or one of the best choices of the Democratic Party, because they are that socialist. They are that far away from the rest of the American people. They are that far left that they don't get it. And they're that far left that when they look around and they see other people speaking out against them, their politicians go silent. The radical organizations like Plot and Antifa and the Democratic Socialists go into riots. And we see areas more and more across the country becoming more like Portland as this happens. This is what the Democratic Party is offering right now. And their politicians are silent in the face of it. They don't know what to say. They want to get reelected, but they don't want to speak about it. They don't want to tell people that they support this, that this is what their party stands for progressive leaders of tomorrow. That's what they stand for. They stand for aggressive, restrictive, repressive government. Government that will promise you, we're going to do this for your best interest. We're going to take care of you because you're not good enough to do it yourself. If you're poor, no problem. We're going to give you more taxes so you won't buy things. If you're bigger, obese, don't worry. We're going to take away the foods that you can eat. If you want to have freedom, we're going to take away your voice so you can't speak. This is what the Democratic Party is offering in 2020. So when I look at that and I look at people saying, hey, what are the progressives doing? How are the rest of Americans looking at this? Well, you see Joe Biden, the guy who's the least repressive of the group, the one who's the most connected to the public, if you can call it that, the guy who's literally the creepy Uncle Joe, the touchy-feely guy that everyone's afraid of at Thanksgiving, he's their best shot. That's it. You know what? I look at Kamala Harris leaving today, and I don't feel bad. Kamala Harris, she can go. She never had a real good shot, other than the fact that she's a woman and a woman of color. And you know, I think she should remember something that a friend of mine said. A friend of mine, Ken McClinton, who I was happy to be with over at CPAC 2019. You may have seen him there. I've worked on his programs. I was on his channel, the Exceptional Conservative Network. And Ken said today, 2 hours ago, never dishonor your parents while running for the presidency. In fact, let me make this a little bigger. Never dishonor your parents while running for the presidency. Kamala held a public press conference and publicly apologized to your dad. You may never be president, but he will always be your father. Yes, America, this is why she lost. Ephesians 6:2. Honor thy father and mother. Kamala Harris's father drops another big bombshell about her family history. And so he goes into that a little bit. But you know what? I agree with him. The reason why she left, she didn't respect her father, her mother. And in some respects, you can say that's our nation. Our nation is our mother. Not in the sense of our parents, but it takes care of us. It helps us grow. It nurtures us. It gives us freedom, the freedom to be able to become what we want to be. And as we succeed, our nation succeeds. So in a way, it's kind of like a mother. And Kamala Harris disrespects that. The Democratic candidates disrespect that. The goal of socialism is to completely disrespect and remove freedom. You may not agree with me, but that's the way I see the news. That's the way I see when I look at my time in Moscow and looking with the repression, the kind of Bloombergian ideals. Yeah. Am I happy that Kamala Harris is out of the race? Absolutely. Am I happy that Beto O'Rourke and Eric Swalwell are out of the race? Absolutely. Am I happy that Kirsten Gillibrand is out of the race? Absolutely. And all of the rest of them, Bill de Blasio included, that want to repress and rule by an iron grip and claim that, well, this is only because it's for your good. This is the good thing. We're doing this to you because we're trying to be really nice, so you could feel better about it. You know what? I don't see any of these candidates. Kamala Harris, you never had a chance whatsoever. I don't think any of these candidates have a chance. I don't think any of them are going to beat President Trump, and I'm happy about that. Not only is it because I'm a Republican, but because I believe in America. I support America. And I agree with the people in Hong Kong when they say that the answer isn't socialism. The answer is the American freedom, democracy, the representation that we have right now. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think there's a better way. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear your comments, because I think there's a lot of people who agree with me. Well, sort of agree with me. I know that, John Restucia, my former intern, who's been doing exceptionally well and has been attacked by plot on the Binghamton University campus, which I've covered before. But John thinks that, nope, it's going to be Warren. And he thinks that that it won't be Warren, that it'll be Biden and Harris, Kamala Harris, VP. Maybe. I know that Pat O'Brien thinks that someone made a promise to her in private so that she's going to get at least a cabinet position. Maybe. We saw that with a few people. Former Governor Rick Perry. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Maybe. That's possible. We see that. It's in politics. And I know that there was a couple of other comments that I received from some other individuals who didn't want their name revealed. And that's okay. because I respect that. And they told me that they believe, and I just want to bring it up, that you could see a couple of big changes. That it's going to be Biden and Amy Klobuchar who are going to win, that are going to run for the Democrats. That you're going to see a change in the Republican race as well. That Mike Pence, the current vice president, is going to be out, and Nikki Haley will be in the race as vice president, running with President Trump. People are everywhere. There's a lot of thoughts here. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Again, you can reach me at 607-242-1582. I know it's in the middle of the day, so I don't expect a comment back, but you can reach me there. You can leave a text or a message. You can send an email to info@vossconsult, or you can send us a text at mvconsult on Twitter, or reach us on Facebook. No matter how you reach out to us, we look forward to it. And of course, yes, you can reach us on YouTube as well, here at the No Soundbites Allowed channel. And we always look forward to your comments. Tell us what we got right. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me if you agree with what we're seeing here, that the Democratic candidates are looking forward to having more socialism, that they're looking more in favor of repression, the kind of thing that leads to riots at Binghamton University, the kind of stuff that, their entire party remains silent and will not speak about. Or, the kind of thing that in Hong Kong, millions of people have voted and continue to protest and to try and struggle against socialism. They're trying to become more American. And it would be nice if we could see our candidates go from the far left to somewhere closer to the middle. But do you think it's going to happen? Because I don't. Well, folks, I thank you for taking some time to be with me today. I look forward to all of your comments. We have a surprise coming up soon, a gift for all of those who have made donations in the past and those who will make it in the future. We're going to have a present coming out to you for the holidays. I hope to be announcing that a little bit later today. But until then, I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. This is Michael Voss at No Soundbites Allowed. The Dragon of the Southern Tier says, thank you. You have good holidays, and I'll talk to you all again very soon.